I'm Chad Hoover with Kayak Bass Fishing, and we're here at the 2018 Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship, where over 750 anglers are competing for a historic $100,000 payout. Over the past 10 years, kayak fishing has exploded in popularity around the world. From saltwater to freshwater, people have learned that kayaks aren't just an affordable and economic way to fish, they're an efficient way to fish. Gaining access to places boats simply can't reach, kayaks are less than 3 feet wide, easy to transport, and can draft in less than 2 inches in many cases. The kayaks just offer access, tactical advantages, and dramatically reduce your chances of spooking fish and put more fish in the boat.
Woo. Once I fished my first bass tournament out of a kayak, literally I think I put my boat on the water twice that year and got rid of it.
Big boats become too much work by yourself some days, so I switched over to a kayak. I haven't looked back since. It's became a serious addiction. I love it.
As more and more anglers understand the advantages of kayak fishing, kayak bass fishing tournaments have popped up around the country.
All of a sudden, it just seemed like it came out of nowhere that every state was having multiple clubs, having state championships. I mean, the sport's here and it's gonna be here for a long time. Yeah.
2016 brought the first ever Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship, where over 240 anglers duked it out for the then largest cash payout purse in the history of kayak fishing. After 2 days on Kentucky Lake, Matt Ball was the first ever Kayak Bass Fishing National Champion and took home just over $30,000. In 2017, the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship returned to Kentucky Lake, where more than 360 anglers from 37 states battled it out. In the end, Kurt Smits from Cincinnati, Ohio, took home the title and over $40,000 in cash. In 2018, the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship is without a doubt the most anticipated kayak fishing event ever, taking kayak fishing tournaments to a whole new level. Over 750 anglers from 40 states have descended on Paris, Tennessee and Kentucky Lake to compete for the title and a record-setting $100,000 first place prize.
It is the biggest show for kayak fishing on the planet.
It's taken the people that are outside the sport and made them notice the sport more, because a lot of bass boat tournaments don't pay out that much.
It feels great to fish for $100,000.
It feels like I'm about to move to a different tax bracket.
It's amazing. It's a great opportunity.
I'm ready to go get it done. This is a little overwhelming. There's a lot of people here.
Kayak fishing is exploding. The sport is growing rapidly and it's not slowing down.
It's amazing and I love it.
To see it grow like this, I would say the sport is it's on fire right now.
It's phenomenal. This is one of those points in times in history where there's a fundamental change happening in the fishing industry, and it's kayak related.
Welcome everybody to the 2018 Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship. I'm Chad Hoover and I'm joined by the one and only Gene, the Fluke Master Jensen.
Just call me the man.
All right, well, you're the man right now, but somebody is going to leave here the man when they win the most heavily anticipated, highest payout in kayak fishing history. We've got some of the top anglers in the country competing for that title. I don't think we've ever assembled a field of competitive anglers to duke it out on one lake like we've done here. Tell the folks at home exactly what I'm talking about.
So what we've got going on, we've got 750 plus anglers hanging out here on Kentucky Lake, and somebody is going to walk home with $100,000 in their pocket.
100,000.
One person.
Actually, I don't even know if they're going to walk. They might float. They'll just glide all the way back home. But what's more important, that $150,000 check or the title of Kayak Bass Fishing National Champion, where you beat the field of the largest number of kayak fishermen to ever compete in one tournament? Tell the folks at home a little bit about how we run our tournaments.
Well, what we do is we do catch, photo, release. You know, running fish around in a live well in a boat is not really good for them. Catch, photo, release, we catch the fish, we lay them on a measuring device, take several pictures of them, and then submit those pictures to an app, and then we just release the fish in the water. So literally that fish is out of the water for no time at all.
And more importantly, it's released back into the environment that it came from. So unique format and something that we consider a conservation-minded approach to fishing tournaments. Man, I'll tell you what, it's gonna be exciting. Oh, yeah. I'm glad to have you here. We're gonna break down the action for you guys as we bring you the unfolding saga of the world's largest kayak fishing tournament here in Paris, Tennessee on Kentucky Lake. Good morning, guys. Here's the deal. It's day one of the 2018 Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship. We're about an hour after sunrise and about an hour into competition. So we're gonna head up the creek. Looks like these guys are fishing the backwaters off the Cumberland River. We'll see if we can find them, see if they're catching fish, bring you guys some of the action. All right, so I'm on the water and I've got no fishing stuff. I don't have a depth finder. I don't have any rods and reels. I guess I'll have to make it work. It's like one of those dreams where you wake up and you went to school naked, except it's real. And I'm here on the water with no fishing stuff, naked. All right, so here's the deal. We found a longtime friend, Mr. Craig Dye, and one of the things that's impressive is there's nobody else here. 753 anglers, and there's nobody in sight. We passed one other angler, and he was fishing a different pattern. Craig is working some backwaters that have warmed up. We'll see if it pans out.
Got her.
There he is.
That's a better fish there.
Craig is hooked up.
It's a keeper, but not what I want.
Now, one of the things that you're gonna notice for this year's national championship is Craig is referring to that fish as a keeper. And the reason that he's saying that is we implemented a minimum this year. With the large volume of anglers that's fishing, that was something that we had to do to be able to keep up with that catch, photo, release format. And those fish have to be 12 inches this year instead of 8 inches to be eligible for submission.
Monster. 12 and a half, baby.
You had a ½ inch of wasted fish.
I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna come back and hit this later. Still waiting on that big bite.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is not only why I use a motor, but that's why I allow the use of motors. The ability to run and gun and fish different spots and cover more water, to take a kayak that's already super effective and add that extra element to it, it's just a game changer, and that's why we allow it in the Kayak Bass Fishing Tournament Series. And it's kind of cool to just press on a button and say bye. Let's head over to Gene and see how his anglers are doing today and what kind of drama is unfolding on his side.
Oh man, so this is kind of a unique situation. We're actually in a shallow area way back in these backwaters in the south end of Lake Barkley, and Jason Gardner here has got a few fish hemmed up in this little hole, and they're not feeding ferociously but sporadically, and just enough to keep him interested in staying in that spot. He'll think about leaving, and then a fish will splash the surface chasing shad, and he'll stick and stay. And he's already caught one here. He said it was a short fish, and so it's kind of fun just to sit back and watch his brain work as he's trying to figure out how to get these fish to bite.
Probably my second cast in, I caught a nice fish, and you know, they've just been boiling up on the water and just getting frustrated not being able to catch them, but throwing everything I have at them. I'll figure it out eventually. Hopefully. The hard part is when you're fishing one area and they start breaking it back you, and then you go over to the other area and they start busting on the other side. Oh, it's been like that all morning.
He keeps blowing up in the same exact spot.
I know, and I keep throwing over it, around it, from every angle, and he just will not take anything I'm throwing.
So, if bass had hands, they'd be flipping him off right now. Every once in a while, one splashes up, and he'll cast this way, and it'll splash behind him. He'll cast this way, and another one will splash behind him here. It's been kind of funny to watch. All right, so as you can see, the fishing's been pretty tough. Let's head on over to Chad and see what he's doing further down the lake.
All right, guys, so I'm gonna give you a quick leaderboard update. And unfortunately for Craig, he's gonna get to hear that, which is also part of the pressure. So right now, Matthew Cheatham from Tennessee is in the lead with 80 3/4 inches. 2016 Angler of the Year, Jay Wallen, is right behind him with 79 3/4 inches. Then 2016 National Champion, Mr. Matt Ball, is in 5th place with 66 1/4 inches. And there are fish all the way into the top 100.
Well, we finally found Kurt Smits, last year's national champion. And he's already put 3 fish in the boat, so he's doing okay.
This is gonna be probably the hardest tournament I've ever done in my whole life. The weather's tough, the lake is down, I'm scrambling, so I've gone down to my most diminutive lures to catch the bass.
The difference between an amateur angler and a professional angler is patience. Look at how slow he is fishing through that brush pile. A lot of guys will pull up and feel that your bait is getting snagged and almost immediately pop the bait over top of that limb just to get it unsnagged. And they don't realize that if they bring it up to that limb and they just shake it, that's really, really attractive to the fish because you're bumping that limb and knocking the silt that is settled on that limb. So that's the difference. Slow, patient, methodical fishing. And I'd rather slam my hand in the car door than do it.
I have switched up from everything I thought I was going to do when I came down here. I'm not using any of my normal lures. I'm not fishing any of my normal spots. It's a different Kentucky lake than what I've ever seen before.
The Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship is brought to you by Wilderness Systems, leaders in premium fishing kayaks. iCatch, the most advanced tournament fishing app. Torqeedo, makers of the ultralight 403 kayak motor. Lowrance, find, navigate, dominate with Lowrance. Nines, polarized, perfected. Kayak Bass Fishing, kayak anglers' most comprehensive resource. With a field of over 750 anglers, it's very difficult to decide who you should follow. The one person there was no doubt in our minds we needed to cover was Corey Dreyer.
So my name's Corey Dreyer. I'm originally from Safety Harbor, Florida. I now live in Randleman, North Carolina. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, stationed at Camp Lejeune. Met my wife while I was in. She was a student at East Carolina University.
The first time I met Corey was through some friends, and the very first thing he ever said to me was, "Do you go fishing?"
So I started fishing when I was still in a crib. Growing up in Florida, my dad had a flat skiff. They'd put a little life jacket on me, give me a push-button reel, and we'd go fish for the day. I love kayak fishing. You're more in tune with nature, you're closer to the fish, you get into areas that you can't in a boat. So going into a tournament, my goal is always to win. It's very serious to me.
I woke up one morning at around 3 a.m. looking for Corey, who wasn't next to me, and I find him in the computer room. What would you think a guy was doing on the computer at 3 a.m. in the morning? He was looking at lures and watching bass fishing videos.
Yeah, so what? I was up at 3 o'clock in the morning looking at fishing stuff. I do my research as much as possible leading up to a tournament.
One morning when I was leaving for work and it was Corey's day off and I kissed him goodbye, and as he's sleeping he says, "Hey babe, can you hold this lure?" And he even like opened his hand to give it to me.
So I probably have the most supportive wife out there. Sabrina's very understanding. They love for me to go out there. They know how competitive I am, and that's what I love in life, you know, besides my family. Being part of the national championship, it's an honor to be here. This is an event that I look forward to every single year. Some of the challenges I'm facing for this tournament is the water levels dropped significantly, cold weather, rain, the water's really muddy, and the fish seem to be turned off. Wrong species. Heartbreaking. My goal is to catch 5 fish, but I'm really just gonna swing for the fences, try to get those big bites. Freaking dink fest. That's why I went with a 4.5 inch bait versus a little 3 inch, hoping that get that bigger bite. And the fish are the same size as the bait. These little dinks hammering it. So I just came across this shallow bar. It dropped down to about 16 foot, and marking some fish on a lay down, so see if we can pick up a bigger fish. They've dropped the water. It's about 2 foot below winter pool. The fish are here, you just gotta find them. They don't go far, but I think they're just a little uneasy right now with the water levels dropping. I've never been happier to catch a 12-inch bass in my life. I'm just trying to upgrade now, try to find one of those big girls.
The Wilderness Systems fishing team is here in full force. Let's head out and see how Shane Williams is faring on Kentucky Lake.
That's not gonna win 100 grand, but they're here. So the last 2 years at the National Championship, what's been a big key is these stake beds that they have in the shallower areas. But they've dumped so much water this week, the stake beds that we would normally fish are about a foot above the water line. So everybody's having to adjust a little bit from maybe what they were more comfortable with the last couple of years.
There he is. Oh no, got off.
This time of year, it's very finicky. You never know from one day to the next, you know, what this lake's gonna be like. And that's, I think, a big part of competing successfully on this lake is being able to adjust I try to look for areas that we can fish a lot of patterns without loading back up and spending time on the road. This is just about the smallest you can catch. Yep, 12 1/4.
The fishing kayak at this tournament that's the choice of some of the top pros is the Wilderness Systems Attack Series and the Radar Series. The Attack is a wide platform with a low profile, so it does really well in big water and the wind. And the Radar is a new development from the folks at Wilderness Systems that has a unique setup. It's a kayak that can be pedaled, it can be paddled, and it can be powered.
It's huge for me, especially on a big lake like this. It's so windy, you have to be able to adjust while you're still fishing. So, you know, I'm working a point or a back bait, and I'm constantly adjusting, so I'm backing up, maintaining my position. The Radar is still plenty stable enough to stand. If I need to stretch, or like today I was jerking the soft plastics. Those situations, a boat that still has good speed, but still stable enough, it's a really good combination.
Another major consideration is a smart design that allows you to customize the boat for the way that you want to fish, to attach the accessories you want to attach, to configure your electronics the way you want to do it. And the Wilderness Systems line of kayaks has all of those features.
Stay tuned for more coverage of the National Championship right here on Kentucky Lake.
If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. In the sport of kayak fishing, it's the people that make this sport great, and it's the camaraderie. But it's not just angling skill. Sometimes it's the person themselves and the character that they are. When it comes to Brad Case, there's only one word that comes to mind. Interesting.
I'm Brad Case here at my home in Mississippi, getting ready for the National Championship. I started fishing when I was 5, so that's over 50 years of fishing. Long time, a lot of fun. I retired from the Army as a colonel. In 2004, I was injured in Iraq. I came back and I used to aluminum boat fish, little 12-foot John boat. And I met Chad Hoover down at one of the Bassmasters Classics in New Orleans, and we talked about kayak fishing. I realized that was my therapy from my injuries, and it helped me out a lot.
I've always liked working with my hands, which is kind of odd for a military officer, because that was one of the things I always did.
I have 2 projects, one going right now that is a Honda Del Sol that I'm rebuilding the engine on, and I'm up to the point now where I need about 2 straight weeks to do it, which is kind of hard with tournaments going on. And that's also therapeutic until you look up and you notice that the wind's not blowing, that I could be fishing instead. And that's probably what has kept me back from finishing the car this past year, because there's been too many days like that and I go fishing.
I may end up having a mechanic finish it.
I stand and fish 90% of the time, and I need a standing platform. And the Attack 140 gives that to me, so now it's my favorite kayak. As for the competition, the part of it is on that you can't fish against others. It turns out to just fish against yourself. And remember, every time you're fishing, that you can improve. To me, it's not necessarily winning the tournament. I'm out there to have fun, to enjoy it. I love kayak fishing. So at 6:30, started our cast. 6:40, I had my first one in, I believe, 18-incher. Then I called another one, about another 5 casts afterwards. That was 15 3/4. Looks like a spotted bass. Look at them red eyes on that sucker. Boy, that's a fat son of a gun, too. And that was before 7 o'clock, and hadn't had a bite since then. So hopefully the sun will warm a little bit of the water up. Fish will start moving if the sun will stay out just a little bit, and that should help with the bite, hopefully. My biggest challenge here is fishing on Kentucky Lake, trying to learn the lake and get it, to understand it. It's not my type of lake. If it was south, pads, hot summer where it was 100 degrees, oh yeah, I would be saying number 1, top 10, top 5 possibly. Yeah, you're gonna wanna offend me, I know. I usually frog fish. Lily pads, grass, weeds, frog fish, that's it. I tried it back out of the river, 1 white bass. Moved back to my favorite spot here. No hits, 58, We're at 55, 56. I don't even know why I'm casting.
So there's one angler that loves fishing changing conditions, and that's the two-time Toledo Bend KBF Open champion, Matthew Scotch. Let's head over and see how he's doing.
That's ambition right there. I mean, the bait is as big as the bass. Can't even get it all in his mouth. See you in 5 years, buddy.
This morning, I'm gonna run the bank. It's kind of calm, slightly warmer night than we've been having this week, and there should be some fish shallow.
I've got the wrong species. It's not what we're looking for. This is an incredible lake, incredible event. I always try to do my best, regardless of if it's for $5,000 or $100,000. This water is much more the type of water I've been looking for. It's got some ripple on it. The fish are gonna be more active in feeding on this bank than on that slick, calm bank I started on. There's fish over there, but I would much rather be moving and casting and stuff. Just like that. Sitting at 3 today. 3 for maybe like 44 something inches. It's not gonna do a lot to help my total. I'm cutting it close, so I really need to catch a couple more real quick.
Stay tuned for more kayak fishing action from the KBF National Championship. The Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship is brought to you by Wilderness Systems, leaders in premium fishing kayaks. iCatch, the most advanced tournament fishing app. Torqeedo, makers of the ultralight 403 kayak motor. Lowrance, find, navigate, dominate with Lowrance. Nines, polarized, perfected. Kayak Bass Fishing, kayak anglers' most comprehensive resource. One of the great things about the kayak bass fishing catch, photo, release format is men and women compete on a level playing field. We've got a lot of great female anglers that come out and compete. One of the top sticks out there is Rebecca Golden.
My name is Rebecca Golden. I'm 44 years old. I'm a physical therapist. I like quiet when I'm outside. I like just hearing the sounds of nature, the wind, the birds, the water. That's why I love kayak fishing. And I really love feeling that thrill of catching a big fish. Who doesn't love that? Once I realized I could actually not just enjoy fishing, but actually be competitive at it, I started the addiction at that point. I try to get very organized for my tournament fishing. I have a whiteboard on the wall and I like to write out my schedule for the year. Okay, so there it is, my 2018 KBF schedule. It's plenty of events. I'm a person who likes organization, but when I fish, I tend to let stuff get very disorganized, and frequently throughout the season, I have to kind of step back and get stuff back in shape again. What I want to accomplish with winning the national championship is that sense of achievement would just be absolutely amazing. To me, the beauty of the sport is like you don't have to be a super athlete to fish well. It's a level playing field. I started fishing when I was 38 years old. Started driving to tournaments 800, 900, 1,000 miles away. And if a 38-year-old female physical therapist from New Jersey, who never caught a bass before, could do these tournaments, like anybody can. The closest ramp to this cove is literally like miles away. So my thought process was, well, number one, it looks pretty good on avionics. I found fish, but then also I don't have to worry about fighting other people. You know, I don't expect anybody to show up today except for maybe a couple people fishing from shore. Hopefully it pans out. If not, I have a plan B and plan C in mind. No, you need a growth spurt.
You know, kayak fishing, actually fishing in general, is a very social sport.
There we go. Mother, I knew there's a fish there.
So you have this mental dialogue with yourself.
Mother, are you kidding?
But the one thing about it is, I don't think there's another sport where there's as many highs and lows, both emotionally, mentally, physically, as there is in the sport of competitive fishing.
That's a good one. Oh, mother. Wait, oh, my f***ing line, and it's still on. Are you f***ing kidding?
And I think kayak fishing, all of that is amplified because you don't have the ability to cover as much water as quickly. You're a little bit more vulnerable to the elements. It's all part of what makes this sport such an interesting thing and what makes competitive fishing in this sport such a dynamic thing. So, I love it.
Come on, fish. Come here, f***er. Ah, damn it. Get over here. Ah, finally. Woo! I got a fish, an actual keeper fish. 15 1/4. A little chunk. Oops. And I'm getting caught up in this, but woohoo! That makes me really happy. That makes me super, super happy.
All right, guys, I gotta admit, checking this Lowrance leaderboard is a bit addicting. We got a new leader. Tim Perkins from Alabama just catapulted into first place with 93 inches on a day when a lot of folks aren't even catching fish. It's impressive.
So we were heading back over across the lake and we ran into this guy in this really bright green boat, and come to find out it's Mr. Dwayne Taff. He is currently in second place.
Yes, sir.
And he had such a good day, he pretty much quit fishing at about 10:30.
Yeah, 6:30 hit, I started casting. Second cast, 19-inch fish hit it. 10 casts later or so, I hit another one. And I've always said one's luck, two's a pattern. I stuck with it and grinded out 7 of them before I left the area, and I'll go back and get them tomorrow.
How you catching them?
I'm on a jackhammer.
Cool, yeah, that's a good bait. I lost my only one about 2 weeks ago.
I had to climb a tree a few minutes ago. I let it go a little bit too far. I had to climb up in a tree to get it out because it's the only one I got.
Yep.
Nearest stores in Nashville, so I didn't want to drive tonight. If I win 100,000, it'd be pretty exciting. It'd be cool to be in the limelight for a little bit, kind of justify all the hours I put on the water, return on the investment, you know. It'd be good to make a career out of something like this, though.
That concludes day 1 of the 2018 Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship. The anglers are only halfway to the finish line, and I'm sure the pressure's mounting as these guys are battling it out for the first ever $100,000 payout.
It's 6:28. We got 2 minutes till the start of the second day of the KBF National Championship. I'm currently sitting in second place with 92 3/4 inches. Hopefully my spot reloaded and I can make a run for that #1 spot and $100,000. All right, fishing time. Part of what's been helping me out here is there's this loon that keeps coming in here. He'll start diving down and stirring the shad up, and that like triggers the fish to bite. So I love when that little guy shows up. What's up, buddy? It's good to see you again. I need you to help me out today. You let me win $100,000, I'm gonna come back and feed you a bucket of minnows in the morning.
With Brandon, patience is key because his bite didn't start till about 10:30. So right now he's trying to catch what we call a bonus fish. And then when that bite turns on later in the day, he can start whacking them. But you gotta have faith that that's gonna happen.
If this is a bass, this is a freaking toad. You know, things are getting close. A tiebreaker might be huge.
Gosh, you ain't kidding.
A big bass. That's something that I didn't have yesterday, but I'm pretty sure I foul hooked Asian carp. I need to get this guy off of here and quit messing around. Come on, dude. Please, hurry up and get tired. Come on, you're wearing me out.
That is a prime example of a winner. Winners in these situations don't allow adversity during the battle or during the competition to bother them.
Oh, that is not good.
So remember that. If you want to be a champion, don't let little things bother you.
This is what all the fuss was about.
Well, Brandon just caught that giant carp, and of course he didn't want it. But let's go head over to Chad and see how they're doing on their end of the lake.
Right now we're following day 1 leader, Tim Perkins. So far, Tim's only got 1 13-inch fish on the board. By this time yesterday, he had 3 of the biggest fish he caught. Things have changed a little bit. Let's see if Tim makes the right adjustments to be at the top of the leaderboard at the end of the day.
I fished here last year, but there was like 12 boats in here last year, circling like hornets, man. I was like, shh, I gotta go.
You know, one technique that Tim is employing that probably very few people in the field are using is top water. I wasn't sure if that was an effective technique, and no sooner than I was asking myself that question, a monster blew up on it, but Tim missed the hook set. One of the things about fishing a top water in tournament conditions is sometimes they don't have the best hookup ratio. So there's a trade-off between swinging for the fence and catching big fish, swinging for the fence and being left with heartache. There we go. No sooner than I was questioning Tim's vintage tackle, he lands one on one of his antique fishing reels. A standard practice in many of our kayak fishing tournaments is using a lip gripper to put the fish back in the water, to let it calm down, and to move to a position either out of the current or to the shoreline to better take the photo. The question is that a smart move or a bold move when there's $100,000 on the line and that fish could shake loose while you're trying to get in position to take the photograph?
17 1/4. We're gonna let her back. I've had them open up before, just pull the clip off. And I reached down to get my string and I'm like, oh, the fish is gone. There she goes.
So it looks like Tim is turning things around. He was questioning whether or not he should make a move. He stuck it out, stayed in this place, and has put 2 more big fish on the board. And he's still rocking the earmuffs. So let's head over to Gene Fluke Master Jensen and find out what he's got going on.
Not catching a fish is really starting to take its toll on me now. I'm starting to feel the heat. $100,000 on the line, so. Caught my biggest fish yesterday over there where that guy's sitting. Hopefully, after a little while of no bites, he'll move on and I can get back over in there because there's a certain way you just got to hit that current. He knows I caught a big fish there yesterday, and that's why he's sitting there trying to get a big bass. So my plan yesterday was to bounce between here and there, and I'm not being able to do that today. Maybe he'll get bored in a minute and I can go over there and see if there's a bass over there. Make me believe I made the right decision by coming here again.
So one of the things that you have to contend with in tournament fishing is spot management.
That dude over there is on the best bank out here, man. Yeah, he's sitting right on it, man.
One of the things that always happens is you plan this strategy and then another angler comes in and you look over and they're fishing your afternoon spot right now. There's a lot of anxiety that builds up. It starts to make you second guess yourself.
Yeah, so that's a little nerve-wracking knowing a guy that's just ahead of you on some docks that you caught fish on the other day. Just landed a nice one, it looks like.
Kind of have to play defense. You're fishing one spot and you see somebody coming in the pocket. You run over there, I wouldn't say cut them off, but you got to get there first sometimes to be able to fish in front of them.
But the fact is, contending with other anglers is just part of tournament fishing, and it's going to be a major part of the decision-making process for the person that takes on this title.
So I'm kind of torn right now. I don't know if I should stay here or do we turn the torpedoes on and run 2.5 miles, go to another bay.
Well, Brandon, I kind of sense the wheels are spinning a little bit. What do you think you want to do?
Well, it's gonna make me sick if somebody tells me at the weigh-in I left and the fish turned on. Cost yourself thousands and thousands of dollars.
Time is running out and the anglers are desperate for upgrades to put a few more inches on the board and a few more fish in the boat. Stay tuned, it looks like it's gonna be a photo finish.
That's a man on a mission right there.
The Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship is brought to you by Wilderness Systems, leaders in premium fishing kayaks. iCatch, the most advanced tournament fishing app. Torpedo, makers of the Ultralight 403 kayak motor. Lowrance, find, navigate, dominate with Lowrance. Nines, polarized, perfected. Kayak Bass Fishing, kayak anglers' most comprehensive resource. You know, with $100,000 on the line, Tim sure is pretty cool, calm, and collected. Or at least that's what it looks like on the surface.
I gotta have 2 more fish, brother. I'm gonna shoot down the other end.
If you take one step, then you...
This week's been fun just to be able to get out and fish this much.
That's a good one.
Jedediah Plunkett is one of those guys that leaves it all on the table. He's never fishing for a safe finish, and he's never fishing to cash a check. He's the guy that's swinging for the fence, trying to take on the title, and he's never happy with second place.
Don't be shy. There he is. Not gonna do it. He might go the distance. Nope. There he is. I need you to grow.
Anything can happen. We've got 35 minutes. We've had it happen before. Last 30 minutes, called up 8 inches. Yeah. Just pulled up to the spot. That was my 4th bite in about 10 minutes. Feeling pretty confident now though.
All right, let's get a quick update on the leaderboard. Right now, the guy we ran into yesterday, Dwayne Taff, is sitting in second place with 3 fish. The leader is Austin Lilly. 65 inches is what his total length is, and his biggest one is only 15 inches, so he's got to do some upgrades in order to stay there. But I really think that Dwayne Taff is in the hot seat right now.
I've been working this stretch of bank right here for the last couple of days. This is where they all came from. I'll go up and down it a few times and then I'll let it breathe, you know. I don't want to spook them off. There's a chance I can still upgrade a fish.
It's a big one, it's a big one.
Oh, big fish.
Oh, dude. He got off.
Oh.
Giant, dude.
That got my adrenaline going.
That was a big one.
He just had a monster blow up and pulled the bait away from the fish. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I call sunspots. If you ever look at the sun and then you look away and you can see the little orange spots.
Good fish.
Man. Anytime you're fishing and you have a big fish blow up like that, you're gonna see it for the rest of the day. But when you have a big fish blow up and you miss it and it may cost you $100,000, he might just see those sunspots the rest of his life.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Feel a little bit of moisture in the air. Could have been the tears from not landing that last fish too, but you know.
This morning, I'm sitting on the point down here and watching the clock, waiting on 6:30 for that first cast. It's kind of dark, not paying attention to where I'm throwing. And I saw the line take off. So I set the hook. Other anglers will tell you, you get that first fish in the boat, your nerves will calm down a little bit. You know, to put that 22 3/4 in the boat on the second cast of the day was pretty nice. Matter of fact, hey, I got a fish.
Man, I tell you, sitting here watching Dwayne fish, it's pretty amazing. His confidence level is through the roof. He's throwing that one bait, that one Z-Man jackhammer, and he's got so much confidence in that thing, but even though he feels like he's got a good, comfortable lead, the man's not giving up.
My small fish right now is 12 3/4. I just landed this one here, a little bit of an upgrade. She's right at 14, almost 14 1/4, almost touching the line. I'll go ahead and submit it, giving the judges something to look at.
How important is that 2-inch upgrade?
That's huge right now, man. When you're going against 700 plus other anglers, 2 inches is a lot.
Woo, 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 woo. The buzzer beater, baby. I knew you was in there. Yeah, that works. Kablamo, baby. It's right at 20. Yeah, needed that buzzer beater.
Well, that's a good one. There we go. One hook, come here. Get in here. Yes, that was close. This tournament is fishing against the fish, it's fishing against the lake, but at the end of the day, to be able to win this tournament, you have to fish against almost 800 people on the same lake. So you're competing against the fish, the lake, and everybody else. So to be able to win this, to me, you're absolutely one of the best kayak anglers in the country for sure.
I'm about a few hundred yards away from where I have any reception, so I'm gonna have to leave the spot here just to make sure that my fish do get submitted.
My phone's been blowing up a lot. People watching the leaderboard back in Texas cheering me on. I keep telling them, don't jinx me. Still grinding. Don't talk about it right now.
Come on, fish, you got a load. It's like ET phone home. All right, it just went through.
Man. Oh, you ain't gonna sleep tonight.
No, not at all.
That's all right, bro.
So if you're watching this show and you're asking yourself, why kayak fishing? Let me break it down for you. A lot of times kayak anglers get into the sport because of the low barrier to entry. And so the economic part is definitely part of it. But I think as soon as someone gets into the kayak, they learn 2 things right out of the gate that sells the sport. And that's that it's more effective than any other way that they fished in their life. And it's also enjoyable because as fishermen, you're always gonna have those days when you struggle. But when you have those days when you struggle and you had a beautiful day on the water and you had a great paddle and you got to see things that you would never see before, it really just it sells the sport.
We don't have to use a boat ramp. A lot of times I'll find these little forest roads or places where there's not gonna be a whole lot of people. I feel like finding water that's secluded helps, and then you just gotta go fishing and see if there's some fish there.
We can get enough places that bass boats can't. Getting up tighter to the bushes. We can get in that foot of water or fish deep in the pads that they're not able to get into. And it just makes it that much easier for us.
I think it makes you a better fisherman because you get to an area and you can't just run 10 miles downriver or to a different spot. You're there within a mile or two, that's the area you got to fish and you got to figure it out.
KBF has been the driving factor behind growing kayak fishing in the series and the trail events, the monthly onlines, the opens.
I'm super proud of being able to be the catalyst behind creating an event that enables the anglers from across the community to get together. It's just a cultural mixing of the different styles of fishing, the different personalities. You feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself. There's a camaraderie in this sport that's a lot like any team sport, even in an individual sport like kayak fishing.
I love seeing all the people come into it. I'm seeing more and more people coming out of the motorboat world and experiencing the kayaking and seeing how that you can use kayaks to actually catch more fish and better quality fish than motorized bass boats.
That guy don't want to race me. Don't stand a chance.
So the dust has settled, all the fish have been submitted, the judging's done, the smoke is cleared. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of how the top anglers fared at the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship. Matthew Scotch is the back-to-back KBF Open Series champion on Toledo Bend and finished day one just inside the top 40. After day two, he slipped to 69th place, a disappointing finish for Matt, but still places him in the top 10% of anglers overall and another consistent finish. Corey Dreyer is one of the only anglers to have ever cashed a check in every KBF Tournament Series event he's ever fished in. And after finishing day one in 83rd place, just outside the money, Corey finished strong to take home a top 25 finish. Craig Dye demonstrated his competitive nature by making a major move from 44th place on day one to a final finish of 8th place overall. Jedediah Plunkett was the 2017 Kayak Bass Fishing National Champion runner-up, and after a 17th place finish on day one, he finished strong by moving up to 6th position. Tim Perkins is no stranger to high-pressure competition. The former River Bassin National Champion is always a threat to end up on the podium in any event that he enters. The day one leader ultimately fell to 3rd place after the final day of competition. Let's crown a champion. Our two finalists are Mr. Dwayne Taft and Josh Stewart. One of these two guys is about to change their life. Y'all get a little closer. It smells like both of y'all showered, so that's good. All right. Your 2018 Kayak Bass Fishing National Champion taking home that trophy and that check, Mr. Dwayne Taft from Texas. Get it up there. 6 figures in a kayak fishing tournament. Is it sunk in yet?
No, you gotta pinch me, man. I'm not here right now.
After this money is spent, they can't ever take that away from you. Your 2018 Kayak Bass Fishing National Champion, Dwayne Taft from Texas. Congrats. Well, Gene, that's gonna do it. The 2018 Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship is in the books. What do you think of the performance of the champion, Mr. Dwayne Taft from the great state of Texas?
Man, it was exciting to watch him fish. We caught up with him the last half of the second day, and I really feel like it was my presence that motivated him to catch that last fish that bumped him up into the lead.
So, but if that's the case, then explain how your presence didn't help the day to number 2 because he blanked.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
So listen, guys, here's the deal. We had a blast. This would not be possible without all of our amazing sponsors, but a special shout out goes to our title sponsor, Torqeedo Electric Motors, and our presenting sponsor, Wilderness Systems Kayaks. But none of this would be possible without the Village of Paris. They were a great host city. So Gene, the 2018 Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship is in the books.
Man, I can't wait till next year. It's gonna be awesome.
I can.